welcome to another episode of the Family Gamers Podcast. This is episode 410.
Hey, hello everybody. We are super excited to do this again. Another episode of the Family Gamers Podcast.
Another one.
Who are we? We are the Family Gamers. As always, I'm your host, Andrew, and I am joined by the most beautiful person in the room, my lovely wife, Anitra.
That's me, I guess.
I mean, you only have me to compare yourself to, so...
Yeah, if I'm only competing with you, it's probably easy.
Wow.
You're not
Wow.
beautiful, you're handsome.
Okay. Nice save attempt. Anyway, we are the Family Gamers. We are delighted to bring another episode of the show to you. This week, it's going to be a nice long one. We are going to talk about our holiday gift guide.
Yeah, this is probably our longest podcast episode of the year.
I mean, intentionally longest.
I mean, yes, also intentionally, but we're trying to give you lots and lots of information, so it's kind of a fire hose.
A little bit, yeah. And we're going to talk about where we're going to be this week and hopefully seeing you a little bit later, right before the break. But first, we got to get into all the stuff that we do. Anitra, I have a fact about our episode. Are you ready?
Yes, give me your fact for 410.
Okay, 10-4, little buddy.
Really?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
You don't like that? Okay. So you just heard what I said, 10-4. This is kind of the flip of 410. I just thought I'd have a little bit of fun with this episode. But the question is, what in the world is 10-4 and where in the world did 10-4 come from? Anisha, do you know the answer to this question, actually?
I don't actually know.
Okay. So 10-4 comes from this list of what are called the 10 codes. These are officially known as the 10 signals. They are brevity codes used to represent common phrases in voice communication, particularly by U.S. public safety officials and CB radio transmissions. I mean, this automatically is a sweet spot in my heart because my parents met over CB radio, so...
Yeah.
Whatever. Anyway, the police version, which is what most people know, is officially called the APCO Project 14 Oral Brevity Codes.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay.
So in the same way that the phonetic alphabet, Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta, Echo, Foxtrot,
Sure.
etc., is intended for clarity, the 10 codes are intended for brevity. And so there's a whole bunch of them. It goes all the way up to 10-100 or something like that. 1099 is the highest one on this list, at least. And 10-4 is the one that I think most people know. And of course,
Yeah,
do you know what 10-4 stands for?
Agreed.
Yep. Acknowledged, basically. Message received, acknowledge, roger, affirmative, whatever.
Sure.
So that is what 10-4 means, but it is only one of the 101 technically, because there's 10-0 and 10 max, if you really want to know. 10 codes in the United States.
All right.
Yep.
Cool.
So there you go.
Well, I have a message from our sponsor. You know that feeling of wanting to finish a movie just because you paid for it?
All the time.
Or,
All the time.
or when you think you may as well finish a too long game where everyone is actually just miserable?
Mm-hmm.
That's called the sunk cost fallacy. Just because you've already invested resources into something doesn't actually tell you if it's worth the next bit of resources to keep going and see it through. If you aren't enjoying book 1, why keep going just because it gets really good in book 5? And this is true for where you invest your money and time as well. If you need a sounding board for your life's financial decisions, go to firstmovefinancial.com/familygamers and set up a time today to talk to First Move Financial for free.
Thanks so much to the team at First Move for sponsoring another episode of the show. So, okay, Anitra, we said we were going to go through this a little bit quickly. Let's talk about some games that we've been playing.
Yes, let's do that.
A lot of this is stuff that we, have been playing a bit already, so we've kind of talked about them.
Mm-hmm.
First one on my list is Ink. We actually played a 3-player game of Ink.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying this game. It's an interesting puzzle of trying to get rid of all of your ink bottles. And I really, really love that there are a couple of small things that change up the game every time and help it feel different.
I totally agree. First of all, the tiles that come out are random, but the little achievement-y things that you get for how big of a section you decide to score.
4, 5, 6, or 7.
Yeah, it rotates every game, or not even rotates, but they're randomly selected tiles for it. I really like that as well. I totally agree with you. I think the game is pretty, but it's not too artsy. It just looks really nice and comes together well, if that makes sense.
It's not like a beautiful, this art is amazing game. It's just...
Although the cover, like the box is vibrant and beautiful.
Yes. But the pieces and stuff are just well done.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, they don't take away from what you're trying to do in matching colors up and making colored areas. Really good overall.
Yep. Another game that's really good is Red Letter, Yellow Letter, which we have continued to play.
Yeah.
It's really good.
It's so fun.
We're going to talk about Red Letter, Yellow Letter second half of the show. So
We will.
We'll move on.
We also played some more Odin. I definitely think this game is best at 3 and 4 players. It's not great at 2. It's not great at 6. But
It might be okay at 5, but like that's definitely like it's the lower and the higher player counts on the box really stretch this game, I think.
yeah, it's not unplayable at
Right.
either of the extremes.
Right.
But it's definitely just better somewhere in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
I love this idea of it's a ladder climbing game, but you're always taking a card back into your hand. So it really is this, sometimes it's advantageous to pass, even if you could play, because you would rather keep your cards together for a better play in the future rather than splitting them up and then having to take a card that you can't use.
Yeah, there's a lot of small decisions in this game that make it a really tactical game, which makes it way more interesting than just a blanket ladder climbing game for me.
Yes.
So
I
I
agree.
really like it for that reason.
We've also been playing some more Obelisk.
We have, so I'm super excited. Phase Shift Games, who released Obelisk, have another similar small box game that we're going to see later on this week, which we'll
All
talk
right,
about
cool.
soon.
Cool.
And I'm hoping to pick up a copy of that and have just as much fun and success as we've had with Obelisk with, I think it's called Widget Workshop.
Okay, I sure hope so.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We also pulled out Chit Chat again and played it with our whole family this time.
This is another game we're going to talk about second half of the show.
Yeah. In the meantime, I will say there was one person who was not super interested in playing this, and it did bring it down a little bit.
I didn't think it brought the game down. I just thought it brought the mood in the room down, and that is absolutely not a reflection on Chit Chat. In
Yeah.
fact, I would
Yeah.
say that it actually pulled this person into the game a little bit,
Eventually.
just because
Yeah.
it wasn't like there were no stakes in being a part of what was happening when they felt like they wanted to participate, and otherwise just sit there looking glum.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know,
Fair
that I think of anything that's speaks well of the game.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
And last on our very quick list of what we've been playing is more Jekyll and Hyde versus Scotland Yard.
We will never beat this mission.
We will. We're getting a little bit better each time. We are stuck in chapter 3. I think we've played chapter 3 either 3 or 4 times now. And we're getting a little bit closer every time.
Okay, fine.
This last time, it was literally just our balance was a little off on the last round, but we made it to the exit. We just made it to the exit, and then Scotland Yard got us. So
Yeah.
we're getting closer.
Yeah. Yeah.
We can do it.
All right. Well, that's it. That is all we have been playing. We will have updates on more games in a little bit. We're going to a convention this weekend, and hopefully we play some games. I am really bad about playing games at conventions.
I am
so-
definitely going to play some games.
All right. So, we'll talk about those, and we'll talk about the convention in a little bit. But first, we want to welcome the newest members to the Family Gamers community.
We have a shaggy dog here who I think I recognize from some Disney made-for-TV
Yeah,
movie.
yeah, I agree. That dog was definitely trained to shake hands.
And, well, I mean, I think he's waving hi, but
Well,
yes.
but whatever. That's same idea.
But yeah. So this shaggy dog is saying hi to Rebecca
And hello to Louise.
and Anna.
Hello to Indira.
Hello to Dubravka.
Hello to Jacob.
And hello to Samir.
So welcome to the community. If you are listening to the show, we want to welcome you for sure. And if you are not one of these people, but you're listening to the show, head over to the community if you would and say hello. Let's find out about some games that everybody is playing. I mean, that would be, a good thing. And maybe we can share some of our favorites with all these new people.
Yeah, that would be great.
All right.
Speaking of community and games,
Yes.
it is time to go through some backtalk responses.
Okay. We really are moving.
We really are. That's because the second half is going to be real long.
Okay. Let's do it.
2 weeks ago, Andrew asked us all, what do you think makes a good gift to receive when you're talking about board games?
So why don't you get it started with some of the chat that we had in the Discord community, Anitra?
Peter responded on the Discord to basically just say, yes? Like, what's a good game to receive? Yes? Sometimes it's good to get a game you can break out right then with the group. Sometimes it's good to get a game you'll enjoy later. Sometimes it's just a novelty and you take it for what it's worth. And he mentions gifting his uncle the game Box of Rocks because his uncle was a teacher and kept saying his students were dumber than a box of rocks. So now he had the chance to actually prove it with the silly game, which I remember playing and we really enjoyed.
I think
Box
we
of Rocks.
reviewed Box of
We
Rocks.
did. We did. So yeah, I think all of those things can make a great gift. The novelty one is the kind you'll talk about for a while.
Next on the Discord, we have SMS 137355. I have to say this out loud. It's like only kind of an answer to the Backtalk question, but this is important because it might involve some homework for our listeners. So if you're listening, this is a time to pay attention. SMS says, man, I always think I'm going to reply to Backtalk, but I'm driving at the time and I forget. First of all, I would much rather you drive safely than remember to answer the Backtalk question,
Please.
but we appreciate that you've logged in. I personally am not interested in a BGG group. That was a question from a while ago. I feel like I don't post there as much as I do for Discord groups. I'm always down for food recipes that kids will chomp on. I mean, that's kind of why we do them too. Here we go, listeners. SMS 137355 says, maybe listeners send in recipes that you try and pass on later after going through on your own. So this is like a hybrid of For Science.
Yes.
And giving recipes on the show, which I think we're all down for. And then actually answering the question, for gifts of games to me, I like accessories to games now or games I can play with kids. I always enjoy gadgets. So I agree with that. I really like that. Like, we had a friend who gave me the Geek Bits for Quacks of Quedlinburg.
Yes.
Which I love and I would never have bought myself. And that was a really, really good gift. So SMS, good call on that one.
We also had a friend years ago gift us broken token inserts for a game that you
Lords
love.
of Waterdeep. Mm-hmm.
And so stuff like that, if you know a friend of yours really enjoys a particular game, upgraded bits or an organizer is an awesome gift for a gamer.
I agree. And also, by the way, especially if you're not a gamer and you're buying for a gamer, like it's a really cool way to say, I pay attention to your hobby.
Yeah.
Right.
We also got a response on the Discord from our son who says, Mom and Dad, take notes.
Yeah.
He gives a couple of tips, usually games that we can break out later or expansions to a game he already enjoys. He's pushing pretty hard for physical copies of a couple of games that he has only played digitally, such as Evolution or Root. Hint, hint.
Is he playing Root on the iPad?
He used to. I don't know if he still does.
Okay.
He's been asking for it for a while, and I keep saying no because I don't really want to have to learn the factions to play Root with it.
Yeah, the problem with Root is that you really,
you need a bunch of people who know how to play. To be fair, he also says there are also many games that seem like I would try them, but we never get them to the table. So the best games are games that we have played, but do not yet own, or an expansion to a game we already have. So things that we know will get to the table.
Mm-hmm.
So good job, son.
I think that is a very fair response, by the way. Credit to whoever that kid's parents are, because they did a good job raising that kid.
I sure hope so.
All right. Over on Facebook, Tyler Lowe says, if I was giving a gift to a hobby board gamer, I'd try to figure out what they're interested in, either peek at their BGG wish list, wise, or observe them in a board game store and see what they pull off the shelves or talk about. If I was giving to someone who isn't as into board gaming, I'd lean towards something easy to learn, something that could be played on Christmas afternoon with a quick 5 to 10 minute rules read.
Well, Tyler, are you in luck?
Wait for the second half of this show.
Back to the Discord. The Joyful Jedi says, for receiving games, I prefer none. I have plenty. I would love players to play with. Time set aside to play with them, energy enough to enjoy that time, and knowledge of the rules to make the most of that experience. That's a very meta answer, but also I can appreciate that.
Yep. As can Adrian, who pretty much totally agrees. Like the Joyful Jedi, I don't need any more games. And actually, I say ditto to the rest of Jedi's answer. If I were to get a game, I'd like ones that the giver also wants to play. And, a side note, I'd be interested in a top 5 next step card-only games that are still good for families. Something just a bit more than the 5+ wonderful games you just listed. This is in reference to our show 2 weeks ago where we talked about card games. Now, this got into a whole discussion talking about our Room to Grow series where we have a very simple game, an intermediate game, and a slightly more advanced game, all in the same genre. So this is an interesting one. We might look into this.
We'll definitely think about that.
Yep.
Also on the Discord, JP says, I started a new job not too long ago. I'm thinking about small holiday game gifts to give to all of my non-gaming colleagues. I'm leaning towards easy-to-grasp staples like Simlo or Cockroach Poker, or maybe some print and play games in a craft bag with some colorful dice.
I love that. I like the idea of bringing that handmade element into the whole, game gift thing. Kendra McDonald says on the Facebook, matching the game or style to the person or group. Games are all I give my nieces and nephews for Christmas. Well done. I'm one of 8 kids, so do the math. It's 1 per family. I'm not made of money. And so far, I haven't bombed. The little get hobby games, and the older ones get stuff I see that fits their age and stage. Well, again, check out the next part of the show. Last year, the older kids got Pokemon Labyrinth, and my brother with 4 kids got Flip 7. My parents got Skyjo because they like light interactive card games that scale well. Like Kabanga. They keep a running tally of their wins. Oh, and I always follow up the gift with a good YouTube teach.
You are such a smart aunt, Kendra.
That is thoughtful and thorough. I love it.
Yeah. Our last one on the Discord is Bobondi. A few years ago, I would have answered it was about the game. There are games that are on the top of my wish list. Those are the games I'd most like to receive. But in recent years, I've learned that the games that keep on giving are those that I can play and teach repeatedly with various crowds. I have so many games on my shelves that I love to play, but I can go years between opportunities to get them on the table. On the other hand, I have a lot of games that I really like to play and teach. They get a lot more playtime and give me even more joy than those heavier favorites. Games that are going to get played is the key. That's what makes a good gift.
Love it.
All right, and with that, I think we are ready for a quick break. And when we come back, we will do our mammoth holiday gift guide.
Okay, but first we have to talk about this weekend. We kind of teased it a couple of times, and if anybody actually knows what's going on, they probably already figured it out. The Family Gamers will be at PAX Unplugged.
Yes.
That is coming up on November 21st, 22nd, and 23rd. Does that sound right? That sounds right. We've got some goodies that we would like to give away. We brought some stuff. We have some keychains. We have some stickers. We just would love to see anybody who actually knows who we are. That would be awesome.
We might have a couple of free games kicking around to give away. No promises, but it's possible.
No promises. We don't really know, but we would love to see you. We'd love to take pictures with you. We'd love to high five you. We'd love to give you some super sweet little swaggy swag from the Family Gamers. We are going to be teaching on Sunday at 9:30 a.m. Castle Panic. It's family day, so bring your family to PAX Unplugged. It's a great show. It is probably my favorite show of the year. If I only go to one show in a year, it's PAX Unplugged. So we would love to see you there. We're going to be running around a lot, taking meetings and talking to publishers, and we've already kind of brokered some new relationships with some new publishers, which is very exciting. Excited. It's been a whole year, and boy, does it feel like it's been a whole year. I am very, very excited to get back to the show. So we would love to see you there. That's about it for now. And then that also means in 2 weeks, we will have a bunch of interviews from PAX Unplugged. They might be interviews that we take, or it might be interviews that Nick takes because he'll be there, or Jeremy takes because Jeremy will be there. We are staying in an Airbnb with a bunch of friends, and
so many people.
There's going to be fun times there as well. I look forward to lots of fun stories. It's going to be an absolute blast.
And we're back.
All right. This week, as we said at the top of the show, we are going to talk about the 2025 Board Game Gift Guide.
We are going to cover all 9 categories that are in the gift guide. And before we get started, a friendly reminder to all our listeners. A lot of the games that are on this list are games that we received at no cost to review.
That is true.
Also, if you go to thefamilygamers.com/holiday and go to the gift guide and buy games from Amazon, we get a teeny tiny commission.
That is also true. I will say, if you have a friendly local game store near you that you actually like going to, it's not a horrible experience, go there and support them. Yes, you will pay a little bit more. That's usually how it works. But these are people that live in your community. These are people that, maybe they send their kids to school with your kids or whatever. They're the people that need this money a lot more than Amazon does. Or us.
And you definitely won't get a counterfeit board game. There are all kinds of other issues with Amazon. But we know that for some people, Amazon is convenient or easy or the only way for some people to get board games. So,
I would say for us, number 1 would be the friendly local game store. Number 2 would be the publisher's website. And honestly, those are 1 and 1A. They could go in either direction. And then after that would be something like Amazon.
Yeah.
But Anitra is right. Many of the links that are in the Board Game Gift Guide are Amazon affiliate links. So we get a microscopic kickback.
But that said, every single game on this list is games that we do wholeheartedly recommend we would buy as a gift for our friends and family.
Many of which we have.
Some of them we have bought as gifts for our friends and family.
So, as a general reminder, you can always go to thefamilygamers.com/holiday to get to the latest gift guide. If you want to go to a specific year, you just go to holiday, whatever the year is. So I think we've gone all the way back to like 2019, maybe, is the first one.
Oh, no, it's earlier than that.
Is it? All right.
Like
well, anyway.
2017, maybe.
The point is, holiday will always bring it to the latest, but you could go to holiday 2024, holiday 2023, etc.
Pretty much, yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's get this party started. So we're going to start with games for the very young. So if you are looking for board games for your under 6-year-old or the under 6-year-old in your life, we have 4 recommendations for you.
Our first recommendation is Octograbbo. You may remember me talking about this earlier this year. This is part of the Chip Theory Games Kids line. Octograbbo is a chopsticks grabbing game. One of the things that makes it nice as a kids game is there are 2 different modes of play. If you're playing with younger kids, play the version that's all about taking turns, rolling the die, and, it's mostly luck. Do you roll the food item you still need or not? And then just on your turn, you've rolled the die, you try to pick up that item with the chopsticks, and whoever fills their board first wins. For slightly older kids, I'm going to say 5 or 6 and up to about age 10, there is a free-for-all game, real-time, everybody diving in for stuff from the box at the same time with their chopsticks. And that's great for your slightly older kids. This is 100% a kids game. Adults, you will play it once or twice and be like, that's fine, I never need to play this game again.
But you might want to with your kiddos.
You might.
That's totally okay. The next game on our list is Dragomino. So this is a kid-friendlier take on the classic King Domino. King Domino, legendary game from Bruno Cathala. And this is just a little bit easier. Honestly, it's pretty much the same game with slightly bigger pieces, and you match up the terrain types to hatch dragon eggs, which either have points or no points in them.
Yeah, it adds a little bit of luck, which is good for adults playing with kids. It's still very possible for the kids to win, which in traditional King Domino, it's really not.
Right. Traditional King Domino involves like multiplication.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Our next one in this category is Bear in Mind. This is the other recommendation we have from Chip Theory Kids. This is a memory game. I found it remarkably engaging. I honestly enjoy playing this game even with adults as just kind of a palate cleanser, like almost no winners and losers kind of game. It's just test your memory.
Mm-hmm.
You tell stories about the item that you pulled and the location you're putting it in. And then when Bobby Bear comes around the board later, whoever's turn it is has to remember enough of the story to say what item is in a specific location. You don't just go around once. There's anywhere from 15 to 25 items in the pile. So sometimes you build stories that are like, this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened. Really great. I wholeheartedly recommend this game.
The fourth and last game for games for the very young is a game that I can't say enough good things about, and that is My First Castle Panic. So I'm going to pause for a second. If you are listening to this before PAX Unplugged 2025, on Sunday morning at 9:30, Anitra and I are teaching a how to play of the regular Castle Panic, and you should come and say hi and stuff, and we have fun things to give you.
Yeah.
TFG branded stuff if you ask for it. So we'd happily do that. But back to the gift guide. I can say, because we don't know who buys the stuff that feeds through our Amazon list, but I can say without reservation, this is the most purchased thing that we have ever related to with Amazon affiliates. And it's not close.
Yeah, and that's awesome because My First Castle Panic is an amazing game for kids ages 3 to 6 or 7.
Mm-hmm. So in My First Castle Panic, it is very similar to Castle Panic in the sense that you have monsters that are trying to attack a castle and you are trying to defeat them before they get to the castle. The difference here is that there's only one path instead of 6 to kind of get to the castle, and you are able to help each other while you play, or you can just play it solo.
Yep. Also, unlike the original Castle Panic, this game cleans itself up as you play.
Yeah, who doesn't like that? So,
especially for a preschooler, that's fantastic.
The idea is that the box is the castle. There's a little cardboard kind of insert thing.
It's the dungeon.
And underneath / behind the box or behind the castle is the dungeon. And so when you defeat a monster, you put the monster in the dungeon. And then, when all the monsters are in the dungeon, you just kind of close the box. And it's cleaned up and it's perfect. And it's wonderful. And we love it.
Yes.
This is one of the first games that I remember us opening the bedroom door to come out like on a Saturday morning and seeing our kids on the floor playing without any prompting from us whatsoever.
Yeah, it's certainly not the only one, but it is one of very few where that has happened with some regularity.
Right. It's the one that is seared into my brain.
Yeah.
And they deserve a lot of credit for that. Great game. My first Castle Panic from Fireside.
All right, let's move on to our next age range, early elementary. These are games that might have a little bit of reading, but usually not so much that it'll take away from the gameplay if mom or dad have to do the reading for you.
Right. Some of these games have a very clear, the oldest person playing probably should take this role kind of thing.
Yeah.
But even in those spaces and times, it's still totally okay. It's not a big deal at all.
Yeah. So our first recommendation in this age group is Dodo. This is a memory game that also has, it's not really a dexterity component. It's a memory game where you're trying to beat a timer. And the timer is this mysterious egg that rolls down the hill super, super slowly.
Yeah. So I would say the biggest downside to Dodo is it takes a little bit of time to set the game up.
Yes.
And take it apart. I mean, it's not quite like Mousetrap level of complexity, but it does take a little bit to do it. So when we got this game in for review, we actually left it set up on the table for days at a time just because it was a little bit easier. But I would say it's a solid 5 minutes to get all the cardboard pieces into the right kind of hooks and things and stuff. But in Dodo, the premise here is that you are building the pathway down the mountain so that the dodo egg can roll safely into its little delivery nest in a boat, and then you can move the boat away from the island. The egg is a plastic ball that somehow rolls extremely slow.
Extremely slowly.
Like, the toy factor on this thing is so weird. There's actually, if you're really curious, somebody on BGG cut a ball in half and posted a picture so you can see what's inside the ball, because you'll see it and you'll be like, this doesn't make sense.
I don't blame them for being extremely curious. How does this freaking thing work?
So the nice thing about Dodo, so the way this game works is that you have the next piece of the pathway and it has a series of circles on it. And what you need to do is get matches from a collection of face down tokens. And when they match, you try to match them up with icons that are on these pathways, or if they're, just blanks, then you're just filling in the blanks. And then once everything on a shelf is filled in, then you can put that on the next location on the island and you slowly work your way down. The nice thing about this is that there are some skulls on them, which basically mean if you want to play a harder version, you have to cover them up too before you can put that piece of the pathway on the mountain. And honestly, we played it, me, Anitra, and one of our kids was having a play date, and his mom was hanging out with us, and the three of us were like, oh man, this is harder than it looks.
With the skulls, it's pretty hard.
Yep. So it actually does have a little bit of, flex in it, and it's pretty fun. And that, like I said, that toy factor, legit.
Yeah. Our next game for early elementary age kids, that's like 6 to 9-ish, is Micro Macro Kids Crazy City Park. You have probably heard us talk about this because it is awesome.
So with Micro Macro Kids Crazy City Park, the Hachette team, Edition Spielweis, I think is the
I think so, yeah.
official designer of this. They did a couple of small things to basically, I would call them quality of life improvements, but they really improve the experience of playing this game.
A ton.
The one that really matters for kids is, it's not like there was anything like grossly inappropriate in the main game, but there were dead bodies and like topless people. I mean, they're all cartoons, so it's not really like whatever, but
there's a mystery where somebody's cheating on his wife.
Yeah, I mean, just content-wise, like, if you have any sensitivity, it's just something to kind of be aware of, right? It's not the end of the world, but in Micro Macro Kids, they've kind of cleaned all that stuff up. So these mischievous scamps have stolen someone's helmet kind of thing, right? But the quality of life improvements are twofold. Number one, instead of envelopes for all of the mysteries where you have all these disparate pieces of paper, It is a spiral-bound notebook. And this is a big deal because what happens is you can have kind of a clue giver who's helping out and giving, like, there's one clue, look at the clue, whatever. And they can help out a little bit without completely spoiling the mystery so they can still participate.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really important. Also, it just keeps everything together, right? Which is way easier.
Yes.
And the other thing that they did, which I think is really important, especially when you're talking about a game like this, where you've got kids involved, kids have shorter attention spans, they might need to go get a snack or go to the bathroom. They included a lot of these translucent green discs. And this is really important because in a game like Micro Macro, you're following a character around on the map. And so you would see them, but then you would also see them kind of further along on their path. And what you can do is you can just take these discs and put them on the character as you see them go along. So if you need to stop and then come back like after dinner or whatever, you can pick up where you left off without having to try to kind of quick remember what's been going on. And so these are all quality of life improvements that I think would help the main game, period.
Yeah.
But especially here for kids, it's really, really, really helpful.
Yeah. So we loved this. This is a great thing to do in a small group or solo. And this is another one where I, as an adult, enjoyed going through a bunch of these mysteries by myself. They are really intriguing, and they're not really any easier than the mysteries in the other Micro Macro series. They're just more kid-friendly, and you have a few more tools to help you work through them. Highly recommend this. I would recommend this for anybody, really, over the original Micro Macro series, but it's super great for this age range.
Next on our list is Star Realms Academy. So the team at Wise Wizard released Star Realms, which is a very, very well-known compact deck builder game where you are sparring with your opponent and you're shooting up spaceships and alien races and all this stuff. And they took that down a notch and they made Star Realms Academy, which is really kind of like the perfect introduction to deck building, where you're still fighting with your opponent, but everything is managed through icons and there's actually no reading required.
Literally no reading required at all. And it's very easy for kids to understand. There are really only two kinds of cards. There are like ships and bases, I think. Bases stay out in front of you and give you something every turn. Ships come out, attack, and then are discarded. And you have a playmat that can hold coins, and it holds your health tokens. So everything is there in front of you. You're not having to do like mental math to keep track of stuff because everything is tracked with tokens. And it's a really lovely introduction to this world of deck building. And you're allowed to keep coins from turn to turn too, as long as you don't go over your max. Like, it's very, very friendly for kids. And if you love deck building games and want to bring a kid in on that, this would be a great place to start.
Mm-hmm. One of my more recent memories of Star Realms Academy is going to catch up with the Wise Wizard team. They live close to us, and so, we get to interact with them a fair bit. And as I was walking over to the table, Dad of the family that owns Wise Wizard was being beaten by their daughter.
Sure.
Which was just kind of fun. So, all right, the fourth game in the Games for Early Elementary is a game that we had an absolute blast with, and this is Toriki the Castaway Island. So Toriki is a game from Lucky Duck Kids, and one of the things that Lucky Duck is really good at is making app-assisted board games that do a really good job and a really smart job of using apps to make it like a really enriching experience. So this is like the kindest version of Lord of the Flies you ever did see.
Yeah, you're a group of kids that have washed up on a desert island somewhere. You're with a professor who wanted to come to this island anyway to do research and just didn't plan on being stranded there. Nobody ever gets seriously hurt in this game. It's all cooperative.
Yeah, it's not really Lord of the Flies. You're actually working together. I'm just kidding.
You're 100% working together. There are a few mysteries that you can solve along the way, but mostly this game is about exploration and sort of the gentlest possible version of a survival game that you could have.
Yeah, I mean, this really is a point-and-click adventure.
Yeah, it does
Above
feel very much
anything else.
Like that.
This is like a Monkey Island kind of a game. The puzzles are not nearly as hard. there are very few moments where you end up restricted from going to see something.
It's really hard to fail at anything.
Mhm.
Like, anything is a temporary setback. And honestly, the story, such as it was pretty interesting. It kept us coming back and wanting to explore and find out more about the island.
Yeah, you had mentioned a couple of weeks ago on the show that My City was the first legacy game that you had ever completed. This is technically a campaign game, not a legacy game, but we finished it.
I have played other campaign games
Yeah.
and completed them. And this is one of them.
So it has a lot of those aspects where each person has their own inventory and you kind of, air quote, save it off when you stop playing, and then you come back and you pick up your stuff and keep playing. So there is a narrative that progresses over your play experiences.
Yep. More so than any of the other 3 games we talked about in this age range, Tariki requires a strong reader to work through the instructions. You absolutely cannot play this without someone who is very good at reading.
I mean, if you can read at a 6th grade level, you can play this game.
Yes.
Let's not...
But like Micro Macro Kids, I could see a kid flipping through that and only picking out a word or two here or there, and it's illustrated enough in the puzzle book that they could still figure a lot of it out.
Sure.
Tariki, the app is great, but it is mostly text.
Yeah, I mean, you need a kid who can legitimately read. Like a strong reader, I don't know. Whatever.
But we highly recommend playing it together as a family and
Yes.
having that family adventure.
Yep. Great game. And then there's nothing destroyed, so when you're done with it, you can give it away to someone else, so it's great.
Yep.
All right, that's going to move us to games for older kids. This is 10 plus. Here we have 3 games that all of which we have played and enjoy very much.
Yep.
The first one here is Disney Lorcana Gateway. So if you have not heard about Lorcana and you fancy yourself a tabletop gamer, I don't really know how to reconcile those two things together, but here we are. So Lorcana is Ravensburger's answer to Magic the Gathering, but they have the Disney license. So
Yeah.
Disney Lorcana Gateway. So Lorcana in general is a collectible card game, but Gateway is a box with 2 decks and a set number of expansion packs.
Yes.
So as you play through the game and you accomplish certain goals, I mean, I guess if you want to open all the packs, nobody's really going to stop you, right?
Right.
But it is a fixed set of cards. It's always going to be the same sets of cards because they are layering on the mechanics as you go. And this is great because when you first started, it's pretty simple. There's a couple of things to do, but as you get through these things and you accomplish the achievements in the book, you open the next pack, which is like, okay, here's a new ability. Okay, then you open the next pack, here's a new ability. And so it really builds on itself. And by the time you're done, you have this deck with all these different kinds of abilities, and you have like different versions of the same characters and stuff. And you're really kind of equipped to expand even more if that's something that you want to do.
When we first got started with Disney Lorcana Gateway, it reminded me a little bit of the Pokemon like starter pack games where you've got a playmat to work on and all the rules, and you've got a complete deck, but it's not necessarily a very good one.
Sure.
But the more we played Lorcana Gateway, the more I really appreciated that this is designed to slowly bring you into the full game. Like, it starts very simple, and then, okay, now that you've managed to do this much damage in a turn, and you've checked off this other accomplishment, now move on to this next chapter. Here are other cards to add, here's the other abilities, and do a little bit more. If you have a kid who you think would really enjoy this kind of card game and being able to eventually piece together exactly the kind of deck they want, that kind of customization, then Lorcana Gateway is a great place to start and give them a jumping off point to do that. And it is Disney characters, and honestly, really well themed with the Disney characters a lot of the time. So I personally feel more of a connection to Lorcana than like Magic or Pokemon, just because the characters are cooler. It just is.
Sure. Okay. Next game on the list is another app-assisted game that is really good and grows as you play, and this is the game Little Alchemist from CGE. So some people know about the game Alchemists. I think when we talked to Mike from the Tabletop Inn down in North Carolina, he said Alchemists was one of his favorite games of all time. But this is Little Alchemist, so this is for kids.
Little Alchemists really grows a ton over the course of many plays. The beginner's version, like where you start in the game, really is accessible for kids who can barely read, like as young as 6, but it's also a very, very simple game. So that might actually be a great choice for your younger kid, but we found playing it with our boys who are now 11 and 14, it really, really shined once we got into about the 5th or 6th game and most of the mechanics were there, the higher levels of difficulty. It's really cool. It is app assisted in a way that I have heard that Alchemists doesn't necessarily have to be. Really, all the app is doing is it's doing some randomization for you so you don't have to keep track of a bunch of other stuff. Basically, there's randomly generated combinations of stuff that you're trying to deduce over the course of the game.
Yeah, so
the app is doing that for you.
You would have some kind of physical device that you would enter a randomized card into, I guess, and then you would... I don't even know how it would work physically. I'm sure somebody has figured this out.
I saw a YouTube tutorial for Alchemist, and I was like, wow, that's incredibly complicated.
Yeah. So this makes it very, very easy. Literally, you put 2 tiles into your
little display board.
Pot board. Like it's supposed to be like you're mixing these 2 items up.
Making potions.
And you take a picture of it, and it will tell you what kind of potion mixing those 2 things creates. And then you track that, and using that process multiple times, you eventually deduce what constitutes what and all these things and how you place those things together. And so it is a very basic deduction game that grows in complexity over time. We talked about it in our Room to Grow series as kind of its own Room to Grow.
Yes, this is definitely the low end is very simple, can be played by very young kids. The top end of it is a pretty adult-ish game. Like it's definitely a family game, but it's no longer a game for kids at the high end.
Sure. All right. The last game in our Games for Older Kids 10 Plus is 10 Days in the USA.
So I was reminded as I was putting this list together that 10 Days in the USA has a fairly new version published by the Op, which is very pretty, much prettier than the one we have at home. 10 Days in the USA is not a new game. I'm going to put that out here right now. You might be able to find it in a thrift store or something like that for cheaper than the Op version, but it's probably worth paying for the Op version. All of the previous versions that I have seen, they have worked because of the gameplay, in spite of issues with the printing and the boards and things like that. I have faith in the Op that their version is better than that, but it is a great game. Conceptually, it really just works. It was actually designed by Alan R. Moon, the same guy who designed Ticket to Ride. 10 Days in the USA. I think we've talked about this before when we've talked about educational games too. You're just trying to put 10 cards in order, quote unquote, kind of like Racco, except your in order is something that you determine because you're making a trip across the USA, and it's just every card has to be connected somehow to the one that's before it and the one that's after it. And when you have all 10 cards in your little hand holder thing connected, you now have a trip and you win the game.
All right. So that actually brings us into our games for teens and adults. We're getting progressively more complicated as we go up. This is actually our last group that is an age range level grouping. Everything else is like family. And
but what would you have after teens and adults?
Right. No,
old people?
Yeah. Yes. Games for old people. We're going to play craps and badminton. No.
You're going to play cribbage with an extra large board for your failing eyes.
No. The first game here is actually 2 games in classic Family Gamer style, and that is the Backstories series. Again, these are also from Lucky Duck. We reviewed 2 of them in the last year, Alone Under the Ice, which was the first one that was available, and then the Emerald Wedding Anniversary. They're not in any way connected, so you could play them in either order, but I would say that Alone Under the Ice is a better first one, only because they add new stuff in the Emerald Wedding Anniversary.
I would say Alone Under the Ice is slightly more family friendly. There is still death.
4 cards into that game, you can attack somebody with an ice pick. It's still
there is still danger and death in Alone Under the Ice, but you can get through that game without people dying or trying to kill you. You cannot get through the Emerald Wedding Anniversary without that.
Now, that being said, everything that Anitra is describing is something that can be fairly easily managed by mom or dad or the adult in the room. These are games that absolutely require reading. And they require reading, I would say, at probably an 8th grade level at a minimum.
Yeah.
So the way Backstories works is you have a series of action cards that have either a slot cut out of them or a notch taken out of a side. And you have a deck of basically plot cards, and they will kind of give you instructions on what to do. So sometimes you're making like a little bit of a mural, and sometimes it's just a single scene or whatever. And when you want to act on that scene, you would choose one of these cards with slots on it that is like, look at this with x-ray glasses, or search this scene, or use this item. You would put it on the back of that card that you're looking at, and then you would flip it over and it would give you the result of performing that action on that scene.
Yeah. The thing is that all of this makes it sound kind of like a point and click adventure, like we talked about earlier with Tariki. It does not feel like a point and click adventure because almost every decision you make will progress the plot in some way, and then you can't go back.
Yeah, this is more of a choose your own adventure.
Yeah, you can't go back and figure out what would have happened if you had done something differently unless you reset the game and try again.
Right.
But from there, it is a really, really good choose your own adventure. It does feel like almost every decision you make really matters and really affects how the story goes.
Mm-hmm.
And the stories are really gripping. Some of that is the danger and death involved. It's how it works.
Mm-hmm.
But we really, really liked these. We have nothing but good to say about them. So if your teenager might be interested, or if you're looking for something to play with your adult game group that doesn't feel like the same old, this is an awesome choice.
Yeah, you're going to have kind of a ringmastery kind of person who's running the cards or something like that, but this is a game that any number of people could play. I would even say like your teen could get a group of friends together and sit down and play this at the table.
Totally.
Right, like it's really good for that kind of an environment. And like some of the other stuff we talked about, like Tariki, for example, nothing is destroyed. This is a game that you could play through a couple of times, really feel like you've milked all the value out of it, and then give it away.
Yeah, I, in fact, did that with the Emerald Wedding Anniversary. It has 6 or 7 different endings, and I made it my mission to see if I could work through how to play the game and like touch on all of the different things and find out all of the different ways the story could go. It was really cool.
Yep. So the next game is Rebel Princess. So there had been like a trick-taking renaissance, I feel like.
Definitely.
And Rebel Princess is another game in that trick-taking like renaissance. It's got a fun little theme. You are turning down fairy tale princely proposals.
I love this theme.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. It is definitely best for folks who are already comfortable with trick-taking games. It's got a few little twists and turns that you'll be able to make sense of if you're familiar with trick-taking games, but are not necessarily going to feel like the other trick-taking games you've played.
Mm-hmm.
So, very cute theme, really approachable if you're familiar with trick-taking games. Not a great place to start if you've never played a trick-taking game before.
There's also an expansion, the Happily Never After expansion.
Yes.
So if you pick up a copy of Rebel Princess or Rebel Princess Deluxe Edition and everybody likes it, you've got a little bit of something in the can that you can pick up a little bit later.
Our next recommendation for teens and adults is In the Footsteps of Marie Curie. This is a very approachable game, but it is a theme that kids under 12 or so are probably not going to connect with.
I mean, look, here's what I would say about In the Footsteps of Marie Curie. If you're looking at this game and you're like, wow, this game looks complicated, I totally understand.
But it's not.
It's not. So there's a couple of really cool kind of Toy Factory things about In the Footsteps, which I really like. There is a tower that you drop cubes into, but there are like internal shelves built into the tower.
Yeah.
So what you drop in doesn't necessarily come out, and it's kind of neat. It's a neat way to randomize what resources are available on your turn.
Yeah.
But what's happening in this game is, I mean, look, you're investigating radioactivity, right? And so the idea behind this game, it's pretty much a set collection game with this Marie Curie radioactive stuff theme. So you're sort of doing science stuff, but really you're collecting various sets of stuff or a little bit of resource management with collecting resources to buy some other things.
It's one of those games that has some really good comboing to it, but the comboing is never going to be overwhelming because anything you do that will combo together then gets used up. So this is not an engine building game. You're not trying to be the most efficient to do everything at once. It's more about seeing what you can do each turn and sometimes once in a while setting up for a future turn. It does look complicated, but I highly recommend that you go read our review where we try to tell you how complicated it's not.
I mean, it's a very elegant looking game. And so certainly thematically, I can understand why people would infer that it's a complicated game, but it isn't.
It's very, very approachable. Once you've got it set up, the pieces really will all fall together very easily. The reason why it ended up in our teens and adults is literally just because kids aren't going to care. But this is definitely playable in the 10 plus range. Probably even an 8 or 9 year old could do fine with it.
A precocious one.
A precocious 8 or 9 year old. Yeah.
I just it feels very rich. You finish a game of In the Footsteps of Marie Curie and you feel like you've had a good meal. Like it's a fulfilling game experience. You kind of learn a little bit. I think there's some, history stuff in the rule book and things like that. So I like games like that a lot.
Yeah. And for all of that feeling, it takes under an hour to play.
Yep.
Not long, not complicated, but full.
Mm-hmm. Kind of reminds me of Lacrimosa in that way, although Lacrimosa is a little more complicated.
Lacrimosa is definitely a lot more complicated.
It's not a lot more complicated. It's a little more complicated, but it's got that really indulgent feeling to it.
Our next recommended game for teens and adults is Avatar: The Last Airbender, Aang's Destiny.
Okay, so I saw this game being teased in spring of 2024, and it took forever to come out, and it was like torture. So Aang's Destiny is the latest game from the op in the Harry Potter Hogwarts Battle / Toy Story Obstacles and Adventures line. But in this one, it is the Avatar world. So you are playing as, what's the name that they use for Team Aang? There's a name.
The gang.
The gang.
The
right.
gang.
Gaang. You're playing as the gang. And I have dibs on Appa at all times when we play this game. And it's very similar to the other games in this kind of series. So you're working through the different acts that show up in the original, and you're working together to try to defeat the Fire Nation and save the world.
Our last recommendation for teens and adults is Lost Ruins of Arnak.
So this game's been out for a while. This is easily the most complicated game on our list.
Yeah.
There have been 2 expansions now. I think there either is out already a big box or there will be a big box coming out soon.
There's also going to be a 3rd expansion real soon.
Yeah, and there also is a 3rd expansion. If you are totally new to the Arnak series, this is almost like Indiana Jones, the game, sort of. It's a sprawling adventure game, like a Tomb Raider kind of thing, where you are trying to be the best explorer. There are campaigns in the expansion. The latest expansion has special characters in it, special leaders, expedition leaders, I think is what it's called.
Expansion, yeah.
And then the new expansion I actually don't know a whole lot about. But yeah, this is a great game. If you have watched the Indiana Jones movies with your kids, or you have played Tomb Raider, or you've played Uncharted, or one of these kinds of games, this is thematically right in your wheelhouse.
Yeah. Probably more along the lines of Tomb Raider, because you will be trying to defeat magical creatures who are trying to kill you.
It totally happens in Indiana Jones. I don't know what you're talking about.
I suppose that
you watch Temple of Doom? The guy's ripping hearts out of people's chests.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Jeremy has reviewed these for us, and he's really had a great time with them. The campaign expansion he most recently reviewed completely changes up not how the game plays, but what your goal is in the game, because it makes it a cooperative game instead of a competitive game.
What? I don't even know how I feel about that.
So yeah, very cool.
Okay, let's rein it in a little bit. That was a little serious. We're going to go to games for the whole family. So the first one on this list is a game that really took us by surprise, I would have to say. We were going to take a big trip the day this came in the mail, and we said, you know what? Let's grab it and see if we can shoehorn it into the trip. And it was incredible.
I was shocked at just how well this game worked for us. The game is called Red Letter, Yellow Letter. This is a speed word guessing game. You have certainly played games like this before. However, there are some little tiny twists to this game that will keep everything moving and keep the game from going too long. The big things are that every time that someone comes up with a word that fits the current restrictions, they take a card. That can be either the yellow letter, which starts with this letter, the red letter, which is the letter that can't be in the answer, or the thing, the category.
Mm-hmm.
Taking any one of those changes it up enough for everybody to get their juices flowing again and do it again. And the first person to get 9 cards, 3 each of red letters, yellow letters, and things, they are the winner. All of that really works together amazingly well to keep everybody engaged the entire time you're playing. And more so than with other party games that we've played, every time we've played this, I watch sort of this slow sunrise or dawning among everyone, that the game feels like it's just like maybe not going to be great. The first 2 or 3 cards all go to the same person. And then people start throwing out silly answers. And then people start throwing out serious answers. And then everyone is shouting every time a new card comes out. It really is just so fun. Not necessarily silly fun, but it gets everybody into the game in a way that I love.
And like we said, we played this in a car. So
yes,
you don't even really need a formal table or anything to play a game like this.
I will say this as someone who gets motion sick in the car. I still enjoyed running this game in the car. It worked well.
Mm-hmm. The next game on our list is probably not a game that would work that well in the car.
No, definitely not.
But it is still a fantastic game, and this is the game Caution Signs.
So this is a speed drawing challenge. Man, the last game we did that was a speed drawing challenge, I think, was Happy Little Accidents.
I don't know, maybe.
Caution Signs takes some of that same idea of you do not have enough time to draw a good picture, so just try to get the idea out there. You're drawing a caution sign for your secret combination of an adjective and a noun.
Yeah, so the way this game works is there's tops and bottoms, and the tops of signs are all adjectives, and the bottoms of signs are all nouns, and everybody gets a secret adjective and a secret noun. You look at it, and then everybody's going to have 20 seconds to draw their thing. Everybody's drawing at the same time.
Yep.
Then all of those go face down in the middle. They all get mixed up. You add 2 more adjectives and 2 more nouns from the deck. You mix everything up, and then somebody has to untangle the mess.
Yeah. Technically, this game is competitive. Both the guesser and the person whose stuff got guessed gets points, depending on how well the guesser did. But really, this game feels cooperative to us when we play it, because everybody is trying to figure out what everyone else drew, or, you know, how the things go together, or just appreciating sometimes how clear just a couple of lines can make a ridiculous statement be a picture that everyone understands.
Yep, it's hilarious every single time we play.
We've got one more party game and then some less party-ish games in this whole family group.
Okay.
The other party game is called Chit Chat. This is a fully cooperative game. In Chit Chat, you are putting numbers in order, but you don't know what most of the numbers are.
That's one way to put it.
They're trivia questions that have a number for the answer. But that number could be anything between like 5 and 200,000. You're just slowly, one at a time, going through these trivia questions, trying to figure out where they go in your line of possible numbers. You have one number at the beginning to anchor off of. And once you've gone through 8 cards, you double check with everybody that they're happy with what we've got. And then you check the list and see how well you did, or in our case, usually how
incredibly poorly.
Incredibly far off you were with 1 or 2 of them, which throws everything else off.
So there's a couple things about this game that I really like. So number one, this game is incredibly low stakes. It's just a cooperative conversation. You pick stuff and, you know, you kind of move along. I think you'll have the opportunity to learn a lot about people, both in terms of how they solve problems. Like if somebody doesn't know a number, it's interesting to watch them troubleshoot and say, well, I know this and I know this. And if I, you know, compare this to that or that to this, I might be able to figure out X, Y, or Z. And so that's going to lead me to this. So like you can learn a lot about the way people think by watching them go through something like that.
This is also one of those negotiation games where sometimes just because someone is more charismatic, they will convince everyone like, no, this is totally where the answer falls in this range.
Sure. The other thing I really like about this game is like, because it's so low stakes and because it's entirely cooperative, people can enter and exit the group that's playing at any time. So you can kind of walk over and be like, oh, what are you doing? Oh, we're playing this game where, you know, we have to line these numbers up and like, here's the next one, right? And then all of a sudden they're in it.
Yep.
Invariably, the person that walks up always has an opinion about that next number.
Oh, sure.
Which is fine.
Totally.
That's exactly what the game is for. So really, really enjoying Chit Chat as a game.
All right. We also have 2 not party games that are good for groups and will pull in your surly teenager or your confused grandma. One of those is Kabanga. So we talked a little bit about this 2 weeks ago. We're still going to recommend Kabanga, even though it's kind of hard to find. Because if you can find it, I don't know, buy like 5 copies of it and give it to everybody. It's so much fun to throw cards at someone and be like, Kabanga! You know, you thought you were out scot-free playing that card, but you're actually taking penalty.
Yeah, it is just a ton of fun. The game is funny. When bad things happen, you just kind of have to laugh and shrug them off. It's a good time.
At least according to my internet searches, you can get it from Barnes & Noble. So look for it at Barnes & Noble or order it from their website.
I am certain this game will get picked up by someone else and
Me too.
Be made available. I don't know who it's going to be.
It's too good of a game to just disappear.
Yep, I agree.
And our last one in the group games is Tasso Banana.
This game is very silly. So this is the game of stacking bananas.
I mean, it's really not silly except for the fact that it's bananas.
I mean, it feels, I don't know, it feels silly
Because
to
you're
me.
stacking bananas, it feels silly. It's a stacking game. The rules are slightly more complex than other stacking games we've played, but still, it's like 3 sentences. It's really, really portable. We actually highly recommend this as a restaurant type game because it doesn't take up a ton of space, even though you can play with 5 or 6 people. All right, Andrew, how about if you just want to play games, you and one other person?
Well, we talk about this every week because we do this every week. So I
It's
feel like we are
true.
well educated on games for 2. It's my opinion, of course, but the first game on this list, I mean, I guess I'll say it first, but I feel like it should be the last game on the list because it might be Anitra's game of the year.
I think it is my game of the year.
Yeah. Well, hey, honey, we have like a month and a half to go. But
Yeah.
anyway, but that is the game Floristry.
If you've been listening to the podcast for any length of time, we have talked a lot about Floristry. Everything in this game just fits together really well. It's got an auction that's hard to explain without seeing it, but super intuitive once you've done it. Even though the turns are very fast moving, it's also super easy to pause between turns, which makes it feel both tight and very casual.
So it is a Dutch auction. So there's, I want to say it's probably about 10 seconds of real-time play.
Yeah.
And in between that, there is any arbitrary amount of time of mostly simultaneous play as you are arranging your tiles.
As you're placing your tile.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then everybody indicates they're ready and you have 10 more seconds of real time. But you can pause anywhere in there to do whatever you want to do.
Yep. So, yeah, we absolutely love Floristry. Definitely recommend it. I was super skeptical when I first saw this. I was like, okay, it's another flower, like tile placement game, sure, whatever. But it just works so beautifully. And it doesn't hurt that it's got some cute cats, but really,
Well, look, I mean,
the game just works beautifully.
They trimmed all the fat.
Yeah.
Right? There's nothing extraneous in this game. So that really does go a long way.
Yeah.
Another game that doesn't have a bunch of extra stuff in it is the game Obelisk. So this is a gorgeous abstract in a very small box.
Yes. It feels much bigger than it is because it's in such a tiny box. But this is not a card game. It's a placement abstract game where you're moving dice around. There are 2 versions of the game, one where you roll the dice, one where you set the dice to whatever you want. But other than that, they work pretty much the same. It's sort of a territory capture sort of thing. You lay out the 8 cards from the box, which are these beautiful holographic printed things. And then you're just trying to get your dice out onto the cards, capture your opponent's dice, try to prevent your dice from getting captured, and gradually fill up all the spaces. Whoever can't make a legal move loses, and then the other player wins. So if you've got somebody in your life who loves chess and checkers and those abstracty kind of games and they're not big on theme, this would be a great gift for them. And it's super small. You could even probably put it in their stock.
I will say that of all the games that we have brought to breakfast dates, this is the one that has gotten people to stop and notice the most because of the holographic cards.
I will also mention that when reviewing this game, it marked a first for the family gamers. We bought a copy of this to give to your sister as a gift before we were even done reviewing it. So, yeah, we really like this one as a gift.
All right, next game on the list is a game that we've had for a shorter period of time, but a game that we have played a ton.
Yes.
And this is the 2-player dueling game, Duel for Cardia.
Yeah. So this one is like intense and tactical, but not overwhelming. At least I don't think so. There are 16 total cards in your deck, but you're only ever going to have at most 5 in your hand at a time. And you are dueling one of your cards against one of your opponent's cards. The big twist here is that every duel has the potential to affect either duels that came before it or duels that come after it, or sometimes both.
So there's a couple of cards in the decks that allow you to just automatically win the game, but otherwise you are trying to win 5 of these duels. And like you said, some of those duels might be up for grabs even after the duels are over.
Yep, exactly.
So there's a lot of layering that goes on in this game. It's like an onion. It's like an onion.
Yeah. This is a game that packs a ton of stuff, a ton of play, a ton of things to explore into this tiny box.
Mm-hmm.
And we got one more game for 2 players. This is the holiday gift list after all, so we are going to recommend Boop the Halls. We've previously recommended Boop. This is a Christmassy sequel in which your cats and kittens are now booping each other up and down a Christmas tree. And there are also ornaments on the tree that they can knock off, adding an additional way to win the game by knocking, I think it's 3 ornaments of your opponents off the tree.
The game itself is more 3-dimensional because there are some boxes that you kind of stack on top of each other to represent the tree.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, this game is really almost exactly like Boop.
Yep.
Despite the 3 dimensions.
The major change is that there are now also ornaments to keep track of on top of the cats and kittens. And the play area is a slightly different shape. That's it. But it's super cute. And also super mean.
All right, Anitra, we have 2 more groups of games.
Yes.
10 total games across the 2 groups, 4 games, and then 6 games. Are you ready?
I think I'm ready.
Okay, so the next grouping of games is cooperative games.
Oh, this one's going to be quick because out of the 4 we recommend, 2 of them we've already talked about.
This is true. The first one, however, we have not, and that is the game Landmarks from Floodgate.
So Landmarks is a word clue-giving game where you, if you are the Pathfinder, you're trying to direct the rest of the group to be able to put down tiles in places where you know that there is treasure or water or bonuses, and try to direct the group away from spots that have curses and traps and bad stuff. But the way you do this is by giving a 1-word clue on a little hexagonal tile, and then they all try to figure out where that clue belongs.
So the thing about this that's so interesting is that the clue that you give has to relate, or ostensibly is supposed to relate, to every other hex tile that it touches. So if you have a series of hex tiles, if you can come up with a clue that relates to multiple hex tiles, you can really help the people that are guessing dial in exactly where that hex tile goes.
Yep.
And so there's kind of a layered art to this because you, as the Pathfinder, you're going to have to try to predict a little bit what direction you want to go in, because if you've just got like one line of tiles going out, there's like 4 different places that somebody could potentially put a tile if it only relates to the one that's on the end. And so you have to be very careful with the way that you plan this out, but it's really, really interesting. I think the game really finds its shine when you play it not fully cooperatively, so you kind of have 2 teams.
Sure.
And so it becomes a little bit of a race to get some stuff and then get off the island, as opposed to just everybody is working together. That really, I think, gets this game to shine a little bit more.
Our second cooperative game is Toriki the Castaway Island, which is that app-assisted point-and-click type exploratory game that we already recommended for kids ages 6 to 9.
And then the next one on the list is Backstories again. So this is the one that we recommended for teens and adults. It's a great cooperative game, great cooperative series. I am sure there's going to be at least another one of these things, so we highly recommend Backstories, both Alone Under the Ice and The Emerald Wedding Anniversary.
Our final recommendation for cooperative games is Bomb Busters. We do not have a review for Bomb Busters because we bought this game and have been playing it and enjoying it. It won the Spiel des Jahres this year.
Yep.
So this is the game of the year. If you sit down and try it, it's really easy to see why. It's sort of deduction-ish. You're trying to find number tiles in other players' hands that match the number tiles in your hand. Everybody's number tiles are in order from lowest to highest, but that's about all you know until you can try to tease out a few other things. The further you get into the game, the more challenges are added to this of like wires that you can't clip or that if you try to choose, you will immediately lose, but also the more tools you get to help you. So this has been really cool. I'm actually super looking forward to playing a bunch more of it. Maybe we will pull this out at Christmas time with some family.
Yeah, it'd be fun. So that covers our cooperative games really quick. But that's okay because we've got 6 games that you can put in that stocking over the fire.
So everything in the stocking stuffers category is really small and under $20.
And the first one on this list is Flip 7. So Flip 7 is a push-your-luck game, feels a lot like blackjack, but your goal is to get a bunch of points by collecting a variety of numbers in front of you. It's incredibly easy to learn. I think one box goes up to 9 people, but you can combine 2 to go up to 18 people.
I believe one box says it goes up to 18 people.
That seems crazy to me.
You should get more than one box if you want to do more people than that.
I don't know if there's enough cards in the box to go to 18 people.
That's what the rules say, man.
I don't know about that. But anyway, there you go. So the way this game works, there's numbers 1 to 12. There's 1 0, there's 1 1, there's 2 2s, there's 3 3s, there's 4 4s, etc., all the way up to 12 12s. The cards are worth the number of points that are on them, so there are the most of the card that is worth the most points. You are trying to get as many points as you can without duplicating a card. There's a couple of special cards, like second chances and cards that allow you to kick other players out of the round, but your goal is to get as high as you can without busting, and busting is when you get a second card of the same type. At any point, you can say, I'm done, collect your points for the round. The goal is to get up to, I think it's 200 points. The first person to get there triggers the end of the game, and then whoever has the most points at the end of that round wins.
This is the least expensive game on our entire list. It is like $8.
There you go. Can't beat that.
You could put a copy in everyone's stocking.
Then you could put them together and 400 people could.
Yes, exactly. Our next stocking stuffer is Circus Flocati. I think I've probably talked about this one a lot too.
So actually, Circus Flocati pretty much has the same base mechanic as Flip 7.
It's very similar, except the cards being flipped out are in a central area, and you're only going to take one of them on your turn.
But you bust in the same way.
You do bust in the same way. As soon as you have 2 cards of the same suit in that central area, you bust, and you don't get to pick any cards for the round. I love Circus Flocati because, much like Flip 7, it's incredibly easy to teach, and there is 0 setup. You pull out the deck, you shuffle, you flip out 1 card, and you say, okay, person going first, do you want to take this card, or do you want to flip out more and see what else you can get? That's it.
You literally don't even have to explain how the game works. You can just start playing.
You can start playing and explain as cards come out. Yeah.
The next game on the list is the first of a couple of games from Button Shy Games, which are these kind of wallet games, so you could fit a whole bunch of them in somebody's stocking. And this one is for the Walking Dead fan in your life. I am not a zombie guy. Walking Dead is not really my show, even though, interestingly enough, they film a bunch of it one town over from us, which is kind of cool.
Yes, in the city right next door.
Yep. But a lot of people love The Walking Dead, and this is a little game that'll fit in a stocking that really, speaks to what you're trying to do or what the people in the show are trying to do.
So the game is called The Walking Dead Surrounded. Button Shy, so typical 18-card Button Shy game. And yeah, you're trying to put these cards together in a puzzly way to contain the zombies and keep them from spreading. Sounds about right to me.
Pretty much.
Nick reviewed this for us back in the early spring, and he loved it as a fan of The Walking Dead. I think it might be his favorite of all of the Walking Dead games that he has played. So, highly, highly recommend this. If your gift recipient likes The Walking Dead, this is a great choice, and it's going to cost you $12 to $15. The other Button Shy game on our list is A Nice Cuppa. You may remember me talking about this. It has a very gentle, calm theme, which is that you are trying to slowly push off the worries in your life by making the perfect cup of tea. This is a solo puzzle game. There are a bunch of expansions for it now, but if you bought just the base game, again, it's going to be around $12. Both of these should be available at the Button Shy booth at PAX Unplugged. So if you're going to be there, that's a great time to pick them up for a little bit less and not have to pay shipping.
Speaking of games to buy at PAX Unplugged, the next game on our list is a game that we will be buying at PAX Unplugged, even though we already have a copy.
Yeah.
And it is because we have literally worn out our copy of Trio. It's time to get a new copy.
Trio might be our family's favorite game.
It might be. It might be. So Trio, this is one of those games that if you haven't heard us talk about it, like, bro, what are you even doing? Like, listening to this show. But we recommend it all the time. This is a memory and deduction game to find trios of matching cards. But you can only ever reveal the highest or lowest card in anyone's hand, including your own, which is the rule that everybody forgets because they get so excited. So you have to keep working, and in order to win the game, you need 3 trios of cards, or 3 triples.
Our last stocking stuffer is also one that you can buy at PAX Unplugged, and I would highly recommend that you do so if you will be there. Otherwise, they're still pretty cheap if you buy them online, and you can even buy a print and play for one of those last-minute gifts.
Like, whoops, I forgot. You can totally get this.
These are the Holiday Hijinks games from Grand Gamers Guild. Every one of these that we have played, we have thoroughly enjoyed.
I think they get better every time. I really do.
Honestly, like the Kringle Caper was...
it was good.
It was good. Interesting. Everyone after that has gotten more interesting and a little bit tighter, and the puzzles get a little bit more crunchy.
Yeah, I would say probably my favorite so far is the Groundhog Gambit, if you need to pick one.
I think my favorite was probably the Marriage Mix-Up.
Marriage Mix-Up was a good one, too. Yep, I agree.
Was really good. The further we get into this series, the more that the designer, Jonathan Schaffer, is trying some interesting twists that he can add to the 18 cards in this little escape room. But honestly, all of them have been great. At this point, there are a dozen or maybe 13 of them. Pick your favorite holiday, play through that, and they are completely non-destructible. So this is the gift that keeps on giving. Get it for yourself, play it, carefully put it back in the package, and
it's not that hard.
Give it to someone.
It is important to say here that these do also require, it's a website, so you could do it on a phone or you could do it on a laptop or something like that. It doesn't really matter. It's basically for entering like the answers to riddles and stuff like that. You answer it and then it'll tell you what to do next. So important to note that. It's kind of like the way the Unlock series works in that way.
Yes, but you don't need a specific app. It is just a website, and they have committed to saying, as long as we are selling these games, the website will be up there.
Yeah, like, it's a website. I mean, it's not...
It requires almost no maintenance on their part. So, do not plan on it going away anytime soon.
Absolutely fantastic. Really, really love the Holiday Hijinks, the entire series. Every single one of them. There's 1 or 2 that we haven't yet played, and that's because they're sitting upstairs waiting to get played.
Yeah. And this is another one where we have not only played them and then given them away, but we have also bought additional copies to give away as gifts because we think it's such a fun little thing to have a full escape room puzzle type experience in this little 18 card package. It's great for an hour, maybe 90 minutes of puzzle solving together.
Oh,
that was a lot.
That was a lot. All right. Once again, you can go to thefamilygamers.com/holiday to see all of the games that we've talked about. I would recommend that to you. We appreciate it very much. It is a way to help support what we do at The Family Gamers without it costing you really much of anything, which is awesome. We did mention that we're going to be at PAX Unplugged, I guess when you're listening to this later this week. Or right now, or as you're driving to the show, or if you're driving home, sorry we missed you, or whatever. But that leads into our Backtalk question this week, which I have asked things similar to this before, but I'd like to formalize it as a Backtalk question, which is simply, what is your favorite thing to do at conventions?
Yeah.
What do you like to do? Now, Anitra, you know my thing. I don't know if I know your thing. I think your thing is to like play in the pop-up tournaments. I think that's your favorite thing to do at conventions.
I don't get to do it as often as I'd like, but simply being able to play games with strangers. is my favorite thing to do at conventions. And so at the PAX conventions, specifically, there are pop-up tournaments on Friday night and Saturday night where they're not serious because the games you're playing are a mystery. So you can't go into them being all like, rah, serious competitor. It is literally just about trying a bunch of quick little games with a bunch of people who you've never met before. Mm-hmm. I feel like your favorite thing is going around and talking to the game designers and game publishers that we know.
Pretty much.
Catching up with your friends.
They've become my friends at this point. I love the business of the industry. Like, I find it fascinating, and in some ways, my hobby has become more being aligned with that than the playing of the games, although I do love the playing of the games too. And obviously, you and I aren't going to talk about the industry, so you and I are going to play games together, right?
That's sure, yeah.
How we're going to interface over the board game industry. But the opportunities that I have / we have to hang out with developers and publishers in person and, be social in that way, because I am an extrovert, are so limited that I really want to seize those opportunities when I can. And so that's my favorite thing to do at conventions. Of course, if we were going to a just playing only convention, I'm going to be approaching that with a completely different headspace. But
even when
I don't go to those conventions.
Even when we do go to those kind of conventions, you will spend time catching up with your friends in the industry. Mm-hmm. Not to the exclusion of all else, but you will definitely do that as a part of a playing convention. Because the board game industry is not that big. Any convention you go to that is primarily about playing games, if it's more than like 50 people, will have at least one semi-pro game designer and maybe a publisher with a little table or something. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I will say this. The one thing that I don't particularly enjoy about conventions, which I really feel bad about, I really feel like I should enjoy, is the unpub stuff. Like, it's totally not my jam. And
that's okay.
I wish it was. Like, I don't, because I'm working on stuff. Eventually, I'm going to be sitting in the unpub room wanting people to think that unpub stuff is their jam. I actually, I wish I liked it more. And I think it's because of all that other stuff is so much bigger of a draw for me. So if there's prototyping happening at QsCon, if there's prototyping happening at QsCon, I'm way more likely to play that game than I am the unpub room at PAX Unplugged.
It's more that it gets pushed out by all of the other things that you would rather do.
I think so.
That's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. So a little bit of honesty.
I will definitely be checking out the unpub.
I know you will, and I appreciate and respect that very much.
It's not always great. Let's be honest. But it's one of those ways for me to play games with other people. And in the unpub, it's always going to be somebody teaching me a game, which is great.
Sure.
So people like different stuff. I think when we address this backtalk question as part of our PAX retrospective, we should also ask our kids what their favorite thing is about convention.
Sure. All right. Obviously, there's lots of different ways in which you can tell us what your favorite thing is to do at a convention. One of them is going to be by heading into the Facebook community. You can go to thefamilygamers.com/community or going to Facebook and searching for the Family Gamers community. Join the community and answer the back talk post that will be there. That is one way. And Anitra, what's the other way?
The other way is going to the Discord. We are the Family Tabletop Community. The easiest way to get an invite for that is go to thefamilygamers.com/Discord. That'll bring you right in with an invite. As we say all the time, there's a bunch of other great people there too. It's not just Family Gamers and Family Gamers fans, but it is people who enjoy family tabletop gaming.
Mm-hmm. Of course, you can find us all over social media. You can find us on Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, Threads, and YouTube at Family Gamers AA for Andrew and Anitra.
If you don't like social media, or for whatever other reason, you can also email us.
Andrew at thefamilygamers.com.
Anitra at thefamilygamers.com.
Please don't forget to subscribe to the show, tell your friends about the show, and leave us a review at Apple Podcast or whatever your podcast subscription source is. You can also find us on Amazon Music, TuneIn, Spotify, and YouTube Music.
The Family Gamers is sponsored by First Move Financial. Go to firstmovefinancial.com/familygamers and learn how the team at First Move Financial can help you pile up the victory points.
Thanks again to First Move for sponsoring another episode of the show. So, Anitra.
Yes.
Between now and the next show, we're going to be at PAX Unplugged.
Yes.
And that's awesome.
Yes.
And everybody else should go to a convention too. But if you don't want to go to a convention, you should have a little one at your house. And when you do, you can play games with your kids.